Welcome to What Nobody Tells You. I'm your host, James Ferrigno. And today on What Nobody Tells You, we're going to be talking about the effect that lack of self love has on a relationship. This is primarily for romantic relationships or partnerships, but it really applies to relationships of any kind. So, lack of self love can cause us to have expectations about other people, about what they'll be like, what they'll do, what their actions are going to be. Then, when our expectations don't get met, we get angry at them. So, this is because our lack of self love makes us have a lack of respect for others. So, that translates when you don't love yourself, when you don't respect yourself, you really have a problem and trouble respecting and loving other people. So, we do not treat other people like separate sovereign beings. When we have a lack of self love, we tend to treat them like they're part of us and we try to control them. And I'll explain what I mean by that. That may sound extreme, but that really is the case. So we are, by definition, disrespectful to others and we try to control them. Then we just set ourselves up for being disappointed and triggered. Basically, we set a trap and then we step into it and we don't even know we're doing it. We set a trap for ourselves. And usually, after we step into the trap, we get upset, we get angry, and we tend to blame the other person for it when it was just us from start to finish. I'll walk you through how that works. First off, I'll give you an example. So here's a very simple example of a relationship where one person doesn't realize that they really have a lack of self-love and the type of things, as an example, the type of thing that they will do. Say it's a married couple or a couple that lives in the same house. One of the person with a lack of self-love will look around the house, look around the property and think, well, there's all this stuff that has to be done and I have all this other stuff to do. So I can't do all these jobs, but my partner has more time than I do. So I want them to help me out with stuff around the house. What will happen is there'll be 15 different things maybe that they see that they want changed. And then they'll mention to the partner that, oh, can you help me out this weekend? Can you help me out with doing stuff around the house? The person will say, sure. That person goes around, does 10 of the 15 things that weekend, spends a whole bunch of time on the vegetable garden, spend a whole bunch of time in the garage, spends a whole bunch of time cleaning stuff up, fixing things. Great. But that person with a lack of self-love, what had really been bothering them of those 15 things was the lawn. The grass was getting too long and they were thinking, oh boy, if it doesn't get cut soon, then we're not going to be able to cut it properly. It's going to be this whole big mess and it's going to be a lot more difficult to do. So I really want that done. But then when they talked to their partner, they just said, I want things in general done, because there were things in general, because they did have a long list of things. But they didn't mention that one thing was the thing really bugging them. So when the other partner doesn't do that thing, they get angry and upset because Sunday night they come home and that thing isn't done, but they didn't tell the other person to do that thing specifically because they really weren't focused themselves on what they wanted done. And so that's all well and good. People make mistakes. People don't think of things, but then they get angry and upset and angry at the other person. Now that's happening because of the lack of self-love. So, and they blame the other person for not supporting them. And they will usually blame them for not supporting them and not doing things around the house and not doing things in general. And it will stay a general conversation. So, nobody knows what's going on. The person that is doing the blaming, the person with the lack of self-love, is, if you look at it, trying to control the other person. They want them to do things for them, but they don't ask for them directly. They want them to just do them. And that's because they're looking at them as, though they don't know this, as a part of themselves. They're not really treating them as a separate, respected individual. They're not giving them boundaries. They're not giving them respect. They're just treating them like they're another appendage or some part of them that they can just tell to do things. And because a person who's healthy and loves themselves, they may want all those same things done too. They'll tend to be more calm and clear and mention the specific thing. But even if they don't, they'll just, oh, okay, that didn't happen. They won't really get upset about it usually because they know they didn't tell the person. And another way this can manifest is not letting people help you with things. And this is when you have a lack of self-love and a lack of that type of emotional maturity, this doesn't always manifest this way, but often people they're not strong enough and they'll try and pick up a box that they're not strong enough, even though there's someone there to help them. They'll try and do things on their own and they won't ask for help when it would be very easy for someone else to help them. And then they'll hurt themselves or run into some other type of problem or get angry that no one's helping them when they didn't ask for it. And a more extreme example is people will offer to help them and they will say no. Or people will really understand that they're like this and try to convince them to let themselves be helped, but they won't. And when someone seems really stubborn and they won't let themselves be helped, this is a sign of lack of self-love. If you're looking for practical help creating healthier relationships, understanding your emotions, and creating lasting changes in your life, I also work with people one-on-one. You'll find more information in the description. So some other dangers to a relationship with lack of self-love are people with a lack of self-love have a constant reassurance seeking. So they always need to be reassured. They're needing frequent proof that their partner loves them or the other people love them. Other people believe in them because they don't believe in themselves. So it needs to come from the outside instead of the inside. So trying to fill that with other people, have other people fill that is a symptom of that. Also, there tends to be, this is a sign, not everyone has all of these, is jealousy and insecurity, assuming the partner will leave you or comparing yourself negatively to others. People pleasing, hiding your needs. So suppressing your own desires and your opinions even to avoid conflict and keep the peace. So being people pleasing because you're suppressing your own needs. And poor boundaries. And we'll get farther, deeper into this later. Tolerating disrespectful or hurtful behavior to yourself because you feel you don't deserve any better because you don't love yourself. And now self-love, just I'll break from this line of thought for a second, is a spectrum, right? So it's a continuum. It's not on or off. It's not a light switch. You love yourself. Oh, I went to a, self-love camp, light switch on, and now I know how to love myself. It's like, no, it doesn't really work that way. We all start out at some level on that spectrum and then can work on making it better and improving it. And you can even have huge leaps in doing that if you use the right tools. What's really important is the awareness. Once you're aware that you need work in that area and you can start working on it, I mean, really, that's most of it. Once you're aware the thing is going on, then when things crop up, you go, oh, I'm doing that, so you know what's going on. When you're unaware of that, when you're unaware that you have needs in that area, that you need to love yourself more and that you're not fulfilling that for yourself, then even if you're not doing it, it makes everything more clear and you have better relationships because you don't blame it on the other person because you realize that it's you. Also, self-sabotage is something that people with lack of self-love can do in relationships, unconsciously picking fights, pushing the partner away out of fear of being unlovable. That can be an issue too. There's 4 key things that people have with self-love. So not having these 4 key things means there's definitely area for work. So self-acceptance, embracing your flaws and mistakes without letting them define your entire self-worth. So, you just accept your mistakes and they don't, oh no, I'm terrible, I did this. When you react that way, that is evidence that your self-love needs work. So also self-protection. So saying no to people or situations that drain, manipulate, or disrespect you. So that's a healthy sense of self-love, being able to say no, being able to say no to things that are not healthy for you. So self-compassion, so speaking to yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to someone you love. The example I always use is treat yourself the way you would a newborn baby. If you wouldn't say it or do it to the baby, don't say or do it to yourself. It's a good rule of thumb. And self-care, which we've heard a lot about that, but just taking care of your physical health, your mental health, getting enough rest, having emotional boundaries, and really continuing that every day. You need to have that at all times, you know. Uh, so those four things can be incredibly beneficial. What I'd like to do is share a picture here of the core pillars. Okay, here we are. So right here we have, get back on the screen. These are the core pillars of self-love that I just went through: self-acceptance, self-protection, self-compassion, self-care. Not letting your flaws define your entire nature, being able to say no, speaking to yourself with kindness. That means, that was my example of the treat yourself like a newborn baby, and pay attention to your negative self-talk. If you have negative self-talk, if you're criticizing yourself in your head, saying negative things to yourself in your head, you want to pay attention to that. And self-care. So many of us do not take physical care of ourselves. Our exercise, our eating, stretching, being able to stay limber is really important for our body, especially as we get older. Once we pass 30, this becomes really important, to be able to continue to move, to eat healthy foods. These are all reflections about how much we love and care for ourselves. And being able to get enough sleep. If we don't, we may be really busy. We have lots of work to do. Of course, most of us do. But not letting yourself get enough sleep, not letting yourself get enough rest and breaks during the day is lack of self-love. If you love yourself, you will take care of yourself. You will take care of making sure you can get enough rest. And you will keep your emotional boundaries, which we will go over in a little bit. But taking care of yourself in all these different ways is, what amounts to self-care. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper into boundaries. Our boundaries are our personal rules and limits that we put up to protect ourselves, the limits in our time and energy and our mental health. So stress limits. And these help define where we end and the other person begins, and vice versa, because that line can get blurry. As I was saying in one of the examples, people really can start to manipulate each other or try and control each other and not realize it. Now, boundaries, they're not a wall. They're not this impermeable barrier. They're just something we have to take care of ourselves. It's not absolute 100%. We can be flexible at sometimes, or not, but it's as long as we keep making our own decisions. Think, okay, my mental health will be okay. I can do this one thing that's, violating my boundary because I have to do it for this child or whatever it is. So it's not a 100% brick wall that can't be passed. And they also change at different times, and it gets bigger and smaller, and it gets permeable, and so there's a lot of different possibilities and fluctuations there. So don't think of a boundary like a wall. People will say wall, but I think that's pretty inflexible, and that's not really what boundaries are. They don't lock people out. They don't push people away or push them out. They just basically let people know how to treat you with respect, essentially, and what behaviors you view as respect and what ones you don't. So, and poor boundaries, uh, which is what people with lack of self-love have, almost by definition, poor boundaries. So you can't really have good boundaries when you don't have a lot of self-love. Here's a list of some things that are the effects of poor boundaries, especially on a relationship. So people with poor boundaries can have deep resentment. So they'll say yes when they mean no, and then they will do things they don't want to do and then resent them in the future. This goes along with the idea of compromise, and I'm not saying that you don't compromise ever. Sometimes big things come up, and People have to be flexible and you have to compromise something. However, if you start to compromise your boundaries, your beliefs, your self care, all the things we've just gone through, then you're going to resent it. And you are just digging a grave for your relationship. You're really putting it on a path to failure. So constant compromise is not good, especially if you're compromising any of your values or any of your boundaries. You do not want to compromise those. Like I said, once in a great while, sure, you can be flexible, but you do not want to do that on a regular basis because you will end up with deep resentment. So, or you can. So, it's also, as I was saying, loss of identity. You can merge with your partners, like their goals and their views, and kind of lose yourself, which some people do. And that will happen from lack of boundaries. You just kind of merge into the other person. And of course, that's not healthy for either person. You can also get burned out accepting these tasks and doing things that you don't really want to do or aren't good for you, aren't good for your mental health or physical health, aren't good for your emotional health. You can become completely drained and burned out. And then, oh, now it's a disaster. So before the disaster comes, we want to not burn ourselves out. You can also enable harmful behavior. This is what people with lack of self-love and boundaries do. Shielding your partner from the consequences of their bad choices and habits. So just ignoring them, things that would violate your boundaries, things that aren't good for you, not mentioning them and just ignoring them on a regular basis. Again, we can all look the other way sometimes, but when there are really important things about our emotional health and our boundaries, we need to assert that and speak up. Otherwise, we have poor boundaries. And the last one is emotional manipulation. So this is something that can be very severe. So becoming an easy target for guilt trips, gaslighting, and control. So when we have poor boundaries, not only do we kind of unconsciously control others, sometimes consciously, but unconsciously as well, we can unconsciously be controlled ourselves. So it goes both ways. And this is how people get gaslit. It's because they have poor boundaries. People with good boundaries, that doesn't happen to, or they also don't do it. So something like guilt trips and gaslighting and that kind of control happen because both people do not have good boundaries. So what do healthy boundaries look like? Being able to separate your partner's mood from your own. So, you know, I love you and I see that you're stressed, but, I'm not going to join you in that emotion right now. I'm going to, stay separate. And that's a real strength for relationships, to be able to keep your emotions. I'm not saying it's easy, but being able to keep your emotions separate. Protecting your mental bandwidth. I know I've seen a lot of people, myself included, that have run into this. I want to support you through this work problem, but I need 15 minutes quiet time to unwind first. And many years ago, I learned that this is super important. Have to take a break. You have to go away when you need to. It's absolutely critical to mental health. I know it is to mine. So owning your feelings instead of blaming. I feel hurt when you do that, when you change things at the last minute. I need you to stick to our schedule rather than blaming the other person. It's your fault. Look what you've done. You've hurt my feelings, you've done this, whereas the other person didn't really just out of the blue hurt your feelings. It's that you have poor boundaries and you set it up so that they would hurt your feelings. So both people are involved in these things usually. If there's a relationship, if one of the people has, say, really strong self-love and really good boundaries, that kind of takes care of all of it. I mean, most things can't occur with only one of the people doing them. They can try to do them, they can say things, they can have all the things spinning within themselves, but they can't really affect the other person. I mean, it would take someone with very, very strong boundaries, but some people do have very strong boundaries. It's very helpful to the world, really. It's very stabilizing. The more people there are with good boundaries, the better off we all are. Continuing our list of good boundaries, there's physical and space boundaries. So honoring your need for personal time. So I'm going to spend Sunday afternoons, alone writing. That's just what I do. And defining your comfort and physical touch. So I love you, but I can't be hugged right now because I'm having emotions that don't allow for that. Uh, Respecting physical privacy. Please knock on my door before entering my office when I'm working. Something you would ask to have physical privacy. You want boundaries with physical touch, with privacy, with personal time. Now, we're not all big sticklers about all of them, but find out which ones of these are important to you and then adhere to those. You want to set your intention to adhere to those. So we're never going to just, we don't change overnight. A lot of these things we may never end up doing, but as I've said before, simple awareness of things is hugely powerful and can shift an entire relationship, an entire situation, an entire individual situation. Just being aware of what's going on, knowing what your options are, knowing where a good place to pay attention is, realizing the few things that are really important to you. Like you may not be thinking about all the different types of boundaries all the time and how you don't have to remember all that. But when it's important, it'll come up. You'll remember it. If it's important to you, you'll remember it and be able to at least be aware of it and hopefully be able to institute some of those boundaries. Time and energy boundaries, protecting your schedule. I can stay at family dinner for 2 hours, but then I have an early meeting tomorrow, so I have to go. That's a sentence from a person with good boundaries. So limiting text responsiveness. I can't always reply to texts, when I'm at work, or I need 24 hours to reply to a text. And I know a lot of people need 3-minute responses or 1-minute responses, but you set your own boundaries. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. Just because other people want text responses to be quick doesn't mean that you have to do it. I think the general rule in society is 24 hours. Like say in business, 24 hours is okay. Anything below that is your choice. Sharing chores fairly. I'm, happy to cook dinner, but I need you to clean the dishes afterwards. That's a very common deal that people make, but you don't have one person doing both who doesn't want to, then they don't have good boundaries. There's also value boundaries. So agreeing to disagree. You have different political views. You just do. Setting that aside and just realizing it and having it not upset you, or stop talking about it before it upsets you. So protecting your choices, saying something like, I appreciate your advice on my career, but I need to make my own decisions. Being able to make your own decisions and not go with somebody else's choice. They want you to do something. So that one you really need to stick to. You can't have other people making your decisions for you, because that's a very fundamental part of our freedom, and our ability to choose is really what defines us as individuals. All of these boundaries, most of them, you don't need to have all of them, but that one you do. You have to make your own choices. Can't let other people do it for you. If someone else makes it for you, you didn't make it. Which means you're not making your own choices, which means you're not free, which means you don't have self-love, you don't have good boundaries, you're disconnected from yourself, you won't respect other people, and just down the rabbit hole. So that one I would remember to do. Can't let other people make choices for you, including or machines. Let's not let AIs make choices for us either. They can present you with options, but you have to make the choice. So if you think about it, it's kind of embarrassing and, really emasculating to let someone else make a decision for you, but to let a machine do it, even more so. And boundaries around digital and social privacy are important as well. It is a good boundary to refuse to share phone passwords. I love you and I have nothing to hide, but my phone is private and I will not share my password. Stopping constant location tracking. If you do not want people location tracking you, you have to tell them that you're not going to do that. This is fairly important too. This is very invasive, and allowing someone else to really control your life if people are location tracking you and your partner has your passwords as location tracking you, that's not good. You do not have good boundaries in that area at all, if that's the case. For both people. Also, the person wanting the passwords and to do the tracking has poor boundaries as well, just in the other direction. Protecting your outside friendships. It's healthy for me to spend time with my friends, and I'm going to brunch with them tomorrow. That's just something people have to have friends. That is a red flag. If someone in a relationship is telling people they can't have friends, gets jealous every time that they're with other people, doesn't want them to go see people for their weekly squash game or pickleball, whatever it is, that's a siren. That's really a big warning that person has poor self-love and poor boundaries and is trying to meld with the other person and make sure they have poor boundaries as well. Whichever person you are in this scenario, you want to make sure you have the good boundaries, whether you're the person who is worried about the other person playing pickleball once a week, or you're the person who wants to go, see your friends, and someone's trying to stop you, your partner's trying to stop you in whatever way, by guilting you or passive aggressiveness or whatever way. That's an important one too. And you really have to. Another one is owning your own time. You need to make the decision of and assert that decision with other people, especially a partner, that I want to spend time with you, but I've got to go to the gym today. So I'm going to the gym. There's protecting just how you look. Like if somebody wants to change your hair and if you want them to do it, that's great. Then it's wonderful. But you don't want to just give in when you don't want to do it, and you don't like clothes like that, and you don't like your hair like that, and you don't want, you don't want any of it. You don't let someone else do things. That's very invasive, very, very unhealthy. And just making your own career choices. I think we have gone over that, but that extends into leisure activities and hobbies as well. You want to make your own choices around that. Some people will do interrogation style questioning. They'll repeat the same question. If you don't give them a good enough answer, if you're vague, they will want a more specific answer from you, especially if it's about what you're doing or where you've been. I told you where I went. I'm not going to go into minute details, and I'm not going to answer the same question again and again. So that's it. And you don't want people to be controlling your behavior directly. Some people will give you orders. These things are connected. If you don't have self-love, it means you don't have good boundaries. In a relationship, not having the self-love is affecting the relationship, but not having good boundaries is also affecting the relationship negatively in all kinds of ways. We just went through a whole bunch of them. And also, it means that you're creating drama. If you don't have self-love and you have poor boundaries, then there's also drama being created. And so that's this whole other level of things that you're like spinning out in your life. And one thing is to realize, just in relationships or in life in general, there's a lot of complex things going on inside people. People are complex and complicated too. And when we aren't aware of them, when we're not aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it, when we're not aware of our lack of self-love, we're not aware of our lack of boundaries, we're not aware of the drama we create, that lack of awareness, we are blind to what is going on. So we can get in all kinds of resentment and blaming of other people and thinking it's their fault. When really what is happening, I watch people do it. They're just spinning out every kind of problem in their life. They start from a kernel of one thing, they create it, set up the situation, and then make it happen. So like that example before about mowing the lawn, when you want someone to do something and you don't tell them why, and then you kind of just make it this other thing and say, oh yeah, I'd like you to work around the house. And then you're really not aware of yourself that this is the one thing you wanted. So you don't really ask for that thing. And then you have expectations that they will do it. You're not communicating clearly. You're not really seeing inside yourself clearly. You're not seeing what you want clearly, which really sets you up to have expectations. And then you have expectations for the other person, which you now have set up, and it's a trap that's going to go off. And then it does go off, and then you get angry, and you get angry at the other person. But you went through all these processes to set up a trap for yourself, and then you jumped into it, set it off, and blamed someone else for it. So I'll repeat some of that. You weren't communicating with yourself properly. You weren't aware of what you were thinking. You weren't aware of what your real choice is. Then you asked for part of something. You didn't ask for what you really wanted, and you still expected the other person to give you what you wanted, even though you didn't ask for it. Then when they didn't give it to you, you got mad at them. And then it created this fight. You're setting a trap for yourself and jumping into it. But when we do that, we didn't know we were doing any of that. And then we're blaming the other person. I can't believe that person. They never pick up their socks or what it is. That's all we think is happening. That, they don't mow the lawn because they're lazy. But really what's happening is this very complex thing. Well, that's not that complex, but a thing with a few steps to it inside ourselves that made that happen and created it. And it wasn't them at all. It had nothing to do with them. They were just a pawn in our plan to disappoint ourselves. Unfortunately, the plan was all unconscious. And really, this is the enemy of relationships, and really of any relationship, a business relationship, anywhere. The biggest enemy is unconsciousness. It's not being aware who you are, not being aware what your issues are, not being aware what you're doing, not being aware what you really like, not being aware of what your values are, not being aware of what you really want, not being aware how to make choices, not making your choices properly, not making your choices at all, allowing other people to do things for you when it's not appropriate, having poor boundaries. So when we have this whole mix of issues going on, I mean, it just creates a lot of problems. And really, this is where most of the problems in the world come from, and all relationships, and all at every level, from a young married couple to world governments. These problems are really here. Before we're done, I want to get into the drama triangle. So the Karpman drama triangle is this kind of helpful psychological model. Now, this is a model. And just to be clear, models are models. If you say we're to make a model of the Titanic, it would look just like it and function like it, and you could look inside it and you could learn things about it, but it wouldn't be the actual Titanic. It wouldn't be the one at the bottom of the ocean broken into pieces. So same thing with psychological models. It's a model of what's happening. It's not the actual thing. So it's not 100% perfect. It's not exactly the same as what's going on. Like the little plastic model doesn't weigh the same as the Titanic. It's not the same size. So same thing with this. There's often criticism of models because they're not identical to the thing. But models can be very, very useful to use when we understand what they are and we understand how to use them. That's all. We understand that they're not the exact same thing. The drama triangle model has a triangle, so it has three parts: the victim, the rescuer, and the persecutor. So, and again, this is a model. We're not saying that this is a type of person, but a type of behavior. So when our partners can use emotional control, they will usually constantly drag you into this triangle. Here's the thing. Some people are prone to drama and will like to be in drama all the time. They don't know it. They don't understand it. If you asked them if they were in it, they would say no. But they're going through all these different parts of the three different parts of the drama triangle, and they're usually flowing through all three parts. Not always, but often. And for the average person who would not normally be in the drama, will still get sucked into it, and then they'll be in it too. So this is the danger of it, is that one person left on their own wouldn't be participating in any drama, and the other person is usually participating in drama. But when they go together, the drama person will usually win. They will suck the other person in, and then both people will be doing it, and it'll just be a mess. And once you go into one of this drama triangle, once you start one of these behaviors and go into drama, healthy, positive things are going to happen when you get out. So it's like being in jail. You're trapped in there. And most of us, 99% of us, are going to get sucked into, even if we're not a drama person, we're going to get sucked into it, and we're going to be dramatic too. So it's really good for both types of people to be aware of this. Whether you are the person who generates the drama originally or a person who usually doesn't but gets sucked into it, you still have the problem, right? Just that one of those people takes the drama with them wherever they go and the other doesn't. But it takes a fair level of awareness and skill as the person not generating the drama originally to stay out of it. It's very, very difficult to do. So you really want to know what's going on. And it's a good skill to be able to stay out of drama that someone else is generating is an enormous skill. If you can have that skill, that'll make your life better. So the persecutor, we'll go through that first. This is control of others through blame and anger. In this role, the partner uses anger, criticism, and strictness to keep you feeling small and compliant. It's what you would think of as normal control. At this stage, their internal fear is a loss of control. So they're really trying to control things. You may notice this in the outer world with lots of different types of people and organizations that like to make other people do what they want. So that's the persecutor role. The persecutor will blame you for their emotions. So you made me lose my temper. You made me do this. You made me feel bad, you know. So they'll use absolutist type language. So they will say, you always do this. You never do this. You never care about my feelings. You are always selfish. So these are the words of the obviously controlling persecutor. They will set unrealistic standards. So they will punish you emotionally for not guessing what their needs are. So that's the example we were going through about mowing the lawn. The person will then blame and punish the person that they wanted to do something for them when they never even asked them. So that's the first one, the persecutor. There are two more. The second one is the victim role. So the victim, this is an emotional control tactic driven by low self-worth. This partner adapts a helpless stance so you can stop bringing up your needs and focus on theirs. If you gently bring up a hurt, they instantly collapse into tears or despair, saying, I guess I am just a horrible partner. I can't do anything right. And you may suddenly stop advocating for yourself and you'll start comforting them. They will really go into victim. Oh, woe is me. I always get, all the bad things always happen to me. Why does this always happen to me? That's a victim. They will sometimes give you the silent treatment. That's something that the victim does. They will really search out pity. So they'll use their past traumas or a bad day or some kind of problem they have to try and get you to feel sorry for them. And this I see a lot. The persecutor is generally certain types of people, not everyone. Well, people do go into it, but rare to see someone who's always in that. There are people like that, believe me. But most people are not always persecuting, but I see victim all the time, all the time. That seems to be the most common thing. Victims will say, why? Why me? Why is this happening? Why is this happening again? This always happens. It never happens. I never win. So that's the victim. And then our third one is the rescuer. So the rescuer is always trying to rescue people, always trying to save people from themselves, always trying to help. They're feeling like they're valued and they're productive and they're doing something good in the world. And I'm sure you've seen people that are often in rescuer. They will be helping people all the time, but you'll notice that they're often helping people to do things that they want them to do. And they're helping people with things by crossing their boundaries and by meddling in their life when it's not their place. They'll create emotional dependency. They'll solve problems for you that you did not ask them to solve and say something like, you'd be lost without me. They'll guilt trip you for favors. This is the other thing. They will help you and now you owe them. So that's important. If you've ever seen that, I'm sure you probably have. And whether it's emotionally, financially, they can use it to invalidate whatever you're saying or feeling at the moment because you owe. So be careful of that. They will also fix your emotions. They can't tolerate you being sad or angry or whatever. They will try and get you to think positively and tell you how to feel and kind of dismiss your actual experience of your emotion. So that is how you can see a rescuer, that they often, instead of just validating and listening to your emotion, they will try and save you from it and try and fix things for you. Now, again, it's not like there's three types of people and you're one of these. So we all kind of rotate through them to some degree. Some people are a lot one or the other, and some people are not in any of them. They don't have drama. But what I find is that it will rotate. Some people will start off in rescuer with good intentions to help somebody, because you don't know. Most people who are rescuing don't know that it's what they're doing. They think they're just being nice. They're being kind to you. They see that you have a problem, so they're going to step in and solve it for you. And then if you react negatively, if you even just assert your healthy boundaries, they may shift tactics. So what'll happen is then the rescuer will shift into the victim role. Oh, I can't ever, why me? No one appreciates what I try and do for them. Now the rescuer is turned into the victim. And if they really can't get through to you, and if you don't respond and pity their victimhood, they may go into the persecutor role. So then they might start blaming you for it. And that can happen very quickly. It can happen very quickly. I watch people go from victim to persecutor just like that. Or they'll go from rescuer to victim to persecutor. And that can happen in argument, or when people are talking, it can happen in one sentence each. Boom, boom, boom. And they'll just go drama, 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 go to the other part of the drama triangles. And you want to look at these inside yourself. So I would first, don't worry about your partner and other people, but look inside yourself, because really the superpower is being aware of whether you're doing this, then being able to not do it, then being able to not do it even if somebody else is doing it. If you can get to that third one, you're golden. But first, look at yourself, saying, am I persecuting people ever? And I found like most people, they don't start in persecutor. They're not going around persecuting, right? But when their rescuing doesn't get accepted, when their victimhood doesn't get validated, that's when they'll go into persecutor, because that's what's left for them to do. That's the other option they have. So, and they'll usually go into a gentler, passive aggressive kind of persecutor. People who tend to be rescuers or victims. And like I said, I see a lot of rescuers, but I really see more victims than anything else. And I see people who move between all three, but spend more time in victim. It seems to be a very popular place to be. Like I said, everybody shifts, but you want to look out for those persecuting, victim, and rescuing. Rescuing's pretty easy. Just question it. Why am I trying to help this person? Did they ask me to help them? If you find yourself trying to help somebody that didn't ask for it, you're rescuing. But really, the thing to look out for, I would say, for most of us, I would start with, is looking for victim behavior in yourself. I guess I'm always just getting a horrible partner. I can't do anything right. Trying to get people to pity you. You don't know you're trying to do that, but just telling stories about your past traumas and all your trouble, and kind of going on about all your problems and troubles, giving people the silent treatment to punish them. If you're collapsing in tears or despair, obviously, that is victimhood. But watch your language. So I would say this is the most important thing in the language. Watch the language. Do you say things like, why did this happen to me? This always happens to me. I never get what I want. So things like that. Oh, I had a graphic for that, which I probably should have put up a minute ago, but I didn't. So I'm going to put that up now. Let's see. It's a simple drama triangle graphic. And there we are. So we have the persecutor here, the guy pointing, and a rescuer with his superhero, and the victim. This probably can help you remember the victim's all curled up. And this is most of us. A lot of the time, this is what we're doing. Most of us are living our lives in the drama triangle. We're either persecuting people, we're rescuing people, or we're playing the victim. And like I said, we can start off as the rescuer, and if people don't want our rescuing, then we can go into victim. And if we don't get sympathy and pity there, we'll go into persecutor. Some people will start out in persecutor, and then they'll just amplify that. They don't need to go to rescuer or victim. They'll go to victim too. But I've seen people with persecutor, they'll stay in it for quite a while, but eventually they'll include victim. So as they're persecuting you, they also play the victim. I have seen this dynamic with politicians and so-called news people. They will play the persecutor of other people, whether it's groups in society, whatever group it is that they don't like. whatever group it is they feel threatened by. They will act the persecutor, and they'll do this in the media and on television, on shows and podcasts, and they will behave in a persecutorial fashion. And then at some point, they will move into victimhood and throw in their suffering and why people like them. And they will pull you into their thing. So they will persecute other people or other groups of people wanting you to do that too. And then they will play the victim and say, and include you in it and say, this is why these people are bad. Look what they've done to us. And they'll go into victim. There's a lot of that I've noticed in the media and podcasts and whatnot, and they usually won't go into rescue, or they'll do it sometimes. I say what I would do is start out looking at the victim one, start out looking at, are you victimizing yourself? Are you saying things to yourself or other people about how you're a failure, you can't win, you're not getting what you want, you get traumatized, you got beat up, whatever it is. I got treated badly. And yeah, things happen to people for sure, but putting yourself in that place of weakness makes you weak. Now, the secret is that all three of these make you weak. All three of these make you vulnerable in a negative way. All three of these are not good for healthy relationships, for a healthy society, for healthy organizations of any kind. The real goal here is to exit this triangle, is to exit the drama and not be in any of these positions or have any of this behavior. And, most of us do a lot of victiming, so I'm not saying that will happen instantly, but boy, just being aware of it makes a huge, huge difference. Just being aware will make a big, big difference. At least that's what I've seen with my clients and myself, that just being aware of this triangle, being aware of these. And if you want to have healthy relationships, you want to stay out of the drama triangle, you want to keep good boundaries, and you want to love yourself. They're all connected. If you truly love yourself, you're not going to be in the drama triangle. And if you're not in the drama triangle, you really have a good chance of having quite a bit of self-love. And you have quite a good chance of having good boundaries if you're not in the drama triangle. So they all kind of go together. They all influence each other. For a really healthy relationship and to be a healthy person, emotionally healthy person, you would want to, baby steps just to start looking for the symptoms of victimhood. Start paying attention to see when you do that. Start paying attention to your boundaries and seeing if other people, they're crossing them, and making sure you're not crossing other people's. Look out, just look for the simple things first. Are people really being invasive? Is your partner trying to get your passwords, or bothering you, or trying to make you feel guilty or jealous, or they're feeling jealous and trying to make you feel guilty? Or is there a real lack of self-care and caring about yourself and taking care of yourself and getting enough sleep? So those three areas are interconnected and all pretty critical to having a decent relationship or a decent life. What I would do is do those three. And the thing I would try for the self-love directly is do the mirror exercise. I know that I've had guests mention this, and I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. And that is, you look in the mirror maybe a couple times every day, or the more you do it, the better. And for 2 or 3 minutes, look in your own eyes, say, I love you, and then your name. I love you, James. You are enough. You have enough intelligence, enough resources, enough friends, enough patience, enough endurance, enough love for everything. You are enough. And you can say other positive things about yourself. You make friends easily. You get along with people. You've helped a lot of people change their lives. You make the world a better place. All these things. Just say positive things about yourself. And do that for 2-3 minutes. Do that a couple of times a day. Looking in your own eyes. Look in your own eyes in the mirror while you're doing it. Try that for 30 days and see what happens. Don't skip any days. Try it for 30 days. You go for 30 days, and if you miss a day, if you miss day number 18, you got to start back over at day 1. And then see if you can get to 30 days that way. I'd love to see the results of that for you. So message me, get a hold of me, and let me know what happened when you did that. And for that matter, let me know what happens when you try and pay attention to see if when you're in victimhood and try and see when your boundaries are being crossed or when you're crossing others. And that's about it for today. I will put links into what I can and upload what I can here and there, because some of this is going to go up on YouTube and I can put some things there. And a lot of it's on other platforms. They're not all the same, but Spotify, Apple, things like that. So Amazon Music and lots of other podcast platforms, most of them. So if you sign up to the Substack email list, usually in the description on YouTube. So if this was helpful and you think you got something out of this, feel free to look at the other podcasts. There's a lot of information there. Feel free to look at the YouTube channel. There's a lot of information there. And feel free to go to my website. And I do work with clients, so you can contact me if you have any interest in that. We'll see you next week. If today's conversation resonated with you and you'd like to explore working together, I've included a link below where you can learn more about coaching and schedule a complimentary discovery session. Hi, guys. If you could like, subscribe, follow, share, that way I can help bring you more information and better podcasts in the future. Thanks.